Welcome back. In part 1, we covered the basic rules of game theory. But look, knowing the rules and mastering the game, they're two very, very different things. Today, we're going to learn how the masters actually play to win.
So let's kick things off with this kind of counterintuitive idea from one of the godfathers of strategy, Thomas Schelling. He argued that the power to control your opponent can actually depend on your power to control, well, yourself. We are absolutely about to see what he meant by that.
Right. So knowing the rules is one thing. Mastering the game is another. Today, we are opening up the Master's Toolkit. We're going to show you 4 advanced tools that get used in boardrooms and in war rooms all the time to literally shape history.
So here's what's on the agenda. We've got 4 powerful strategic tools to get through. And once we've got those down, we're going to see how they all came together in what was probably the most dangerous game ever played. Okay, let's dive right into our first tool. This one solves a really fundamental problem in any competition. The problem of trust.
I mean, think about it. Anyone can make a claim, right? Anyone can make a threat. So the real question is, how do you make your opponent actually believe that you mean what you say? Well, the answer is in something called signaling theory. And the key insight here from Nobel laureate Michael Spence is actually pretty simple. For a signal to be believed, it has to be way too expensive for a liar to send.
You know, actions speak louder than words because real actions have real costs. A peacock's giant tail? That signals genetic fitness because a weaker bird couldn't possibly afford the energy cost to grow one. A university degree signals you're capable because it costs so much in time and money that a less capable person just couldn't do it. And yeah, when a country tests a missile, it's signaling military power in a way a weaker state could never afford to fake. In strategy, it's the cost that creates the credibility.
Okay, let's get to our next tool. This one is all about winning by, believe it or not, strategically limiting your own options.
Yeah, this is all about making a commitment that is so strong, so unbreakable, that your opponent knows you have absolutely no choice but to follow through. You're basically forcing your own hand.
And this idea, it's ancient. Homer's Odysseus, right? He knew he'd be powerless against the siren's song. So what did he do? He had himself tied to the mast. He was committing his future self to a course of action by removing his own ability to make a fatal mistake. For him, turning back was just impossible.
The most famous example, probably, is Hernan Cortés burning his ships. By destroying any chance of retreat, he sent this crystal-clear signal to his enemies, and even to his own men, the only way forward is victory. Retreat was literally, physically, off the table.
So this is really the core idea of a commitment device. It works because it fundamentally changes the game's payoffs. It makes it more costly to back down than it is to just follow through. You're not just playing the game anymore. You are rewriting the rules in your favor.
And we see this everywhere today. When Elon Musk made that public, legally binding offer to buy Twitter, boom, he was locked in. When a president makes a televised announcement about potential military action, they're staking their public reputation on it, which makes retreat politically devastating. And the Brexit referendum? That was a massive national commitment device. In every single one of these cases, they burned their own bridges.
All right, our third tool. This is for those situations where you absolutely have to coordinate, but you have no way to communicate directly. Think about this classic puzzle for a second. You and a complete stranger, you have to meet in New York City tomorrow. Zero way to communicate. Where do you go? What time? I mean, how could two people possibly coordinate their actions without talking?
Well, the answer is what the economist Thomas Schelling called a focal point. It's a solution that people just naturally gravitate towards without talking, simply because it feels special or obvious within their shared culture. It's the answer you pick because you're pretty sure the other person is thinking the exact same thing.
So the answer for New York City? Most people pick Grand Central Station, high noon. And this isn't just some fun puzzle. This principle has literally divided nations. The 38th parallel was chosen to divide Korea not for any smart military reason, but just because it was a really obvious line on the map. People don't always converge on the best solution, they converge on the most obvious one.
And that brings us to our final, and let's be honest, our most dangerous tool, the strategy of winning by taking everybody right to the edge of total disaster.
Now, the key to brinkmanship isn't threatening to push your opponent off a cliff. No, it's threatening to walk them to a slippery slope where you both might fall. You're deliberately creating a risk that, and this is crucial, even you don't have complete control over. So the critical point is this: your threat is credible because you've let the situation get a little bit out of your own control. The weapon you're using isn't your own strength, it's the shared, absolutely intolerable risk that you'll both go down together.
Okay,
So let's put this entire toolkit together. Let's watch it in action during what was arguably the single greatest game theory showdown in all of human history.
October 1962, the US and the Soviet Union came terrifyingly close to all-out nuclear war, and every single one of these strategic tools we've just talked about was in play. Just watch how brilliantly this all came together. The US naval quarantine of Cuba, that was the signal. A costly, highly visible action that screamed American resolve in a way that secret diplomacy just couldn't. Then, President Kennedy's televised address to the world, that was the commitment. He locked in his reputation, backing down was no longer an option. The eventual secret deal, trading US missiles in Turkey for Soviet missiles in Cuba, that was the Schelling Point. It was the obvious, face-saving solution both sides could grab onto to end the crisis. And the entire standoff? It was a masterclass in brinkmanship, creating a shared, uncontrolled risk of escalation that just became intolerable for everybody, forcing the Soviets to pull back.
So there you have it. You now have the master's toolkit. The question is, how are you going to see the next global crisis differently? Start looking for these strategies in the headlines, and be sure to join us for part 3, where we're going to apply this entire toolkit to a hypothetical war in 2026.